Well, hi folks. This is Roby Reid, and this is video number 4 of my story, my story in the prophetic. Now, the first 3 videos I've been laying a foundation, told you how my beginnings were, and I told you about a prophecy that I gave in Peterborough, and what happened later on that was the exact fulfillment of the prophecy. Now, I mentioned Ian Wilson there a few times in video number 3, and that was because he was the pastor and I was an elder in the church, and we had a number of years of experience of working together and so on. But one day, after I had left the Barrie Christian Fellowship, and I went to Australia with Youth of the Mission, and leaving a vacancy in the eldership there. And I believe Ron Reid, dear brother in the Lord of mine, and Mike Barrow were dear brother in the Lord of mine as well. And they were appointed into eldership. But one day after I came back from Australia, I went out for lunch with Ian, and I can't remember if it was Ron Reid or Mike Barrow that was there, but there were 3 of us. And it was a cafeteria type setting where you go in, you take the tray, and you go up, you get your food, and you go down the line and you pay for it, and then you carry your tray with your food over to your table. And out of the 3 of us, I was the last one in the line and let those 2 go ahead of me. And then when I got my tray and I went over to the table, Ian was already sitting at the table with his tray in front of him. And I went and sat across from him. And I set my tray down on the table. And still standing, I looked into his face. And the Spirit of the Lord said, "He will be catapulted out of here in 3. Didn't say that was it. He will be catapulted out of here in 3. Now, there was no warning involved in this, like there was with Wally Best. If you don't take care of this problem with the pillars in the church is going to fall in. That was the warning. But with Ian, it was just very simple. You will be catapulted, or the Spirit said, he will be catapulted out of here in 3. So I looked across at Ian and I said, the Lord just said, you will be catapulted out of here in 3. And he said, in 3 what? And I said, I don't know. The Lord just said, you'll be catapulted out of here in 3. So that was that. Ian smiled, and then we never spoke about it anymore. I was pastoring a fellowship in Angus at the time, under Ian's direction and supervision. And after a couple of years, I moved on. But what I did not know was that when I spoke that word to Ian, the fellowship was in the midst of purchasing their 3rd church home. First church home, the church began in the house and expanded to the renovated barn on the same property. And that was the first church home. We called it Green Pastures. As the 23rd Psalm, he makes me to lie down in green pastures. And we were surrounded by green pastures. The barn was renovated into a church, and that was the first church home. And then we purchased a big white church on St. Vincent Street in Barrie, which was the 2nd church home. And that was the church home they were in when I spoke that word to Ian. You will be catapulted out of here in 3. I did not know about the fact that they were planning on purchasing the 3rd church home at that time, but they did. And they moved into this 3rd church home. And I had moved away, so again, And so I don't know what happened. I wasn't there to see what happened or to experience what happened. But Barrie Christian Fellowship fired Ian Woodson, the founder of the church. And he was unemployed and had no ministry. But he had numbers of contacts all over North America. So he put out the word, and he immediately began to travel and do ministry in various churches and fellowships all over North America, maybe even other parts of the world for all I know. But this was the exact fulfillment of the word it gave to him. You will be catapulted out of here in 3. 3 turned out to be the 3rd church building. And catapulted, he was fired, boom, and then he got on a plane and flew, and ministered, and then flew, and ministered, and then flew, and he was being catapulted. That's with a catapult, point A to point B, an airplane, point A to point B. So the word that the Lord gave me to speak to him, you will be catapulted out of here in 3, was in hindsight so perfect, because he was catapulted out. Now, I only tell you these things so that you can see that the Lord does speak to me, and he does fulfill his word to me. For an example, now I have always had a bit of I felt an affiliation with Old Testament prophets, because not only have I given prophetic words, but miracles as well. For an example, when I was in the St. Catherine's Christian Fellowship, the place that I told you in the other video the Lord had sent me, one Sunday morning I was in the cloakroom getting dressed after the service, and I noticed a young girl putting on her shoe, and the whole front of her shoe was all worn out. Now, I recognized her as being the newly adopted daughter of Don Bergman. And he had her as foster care, and then he adopted this girl. But when I noticed her boot all worn out, I thought, wow, that's strange. Don's not a poor man, so he should be able to, afford boots for this girl. And I said, what's with your boot? And she said, well, my foot is twisted. And her foot was down and over, and when she walked, she dragged her toe along the ground and wore the front of her boot out. Now, her adopted father had a Christian restaurant called the Chestnut Tree. And I said, next time I'm over at your dad's, I'm going to pray for you, and the Lord will heal you. So the next time I was over there, I'm not sure how long it was, 5, 6 weeks, 4 weeks, 3 weeks, I'm not sure. But anyway, one night I was there, and we were sitting around talking. And mostly all the customers had gone, and there was just a few of us left, and we were just sitting there chatting. And then I remembered, and I said, oh, by the way, I told you at church that the next time I'm over here, I would pray for you and God would heal that leg of yours. And she said, yes. And I said, well, this is the next time, let's do it. So she sent me a chair. I held her heels of her feet in the palm of my hand, and we prayed, and the foot completely untwisted between our eyes, right before our eyes. And it untwisted like this, and then it went up like this, and complete straighten up. It was perfect. Glory to God. She jumped up and she ran around. And Don had gone upstairs to bed, and his bedroom was on the 3rd floor of this Chestnut Tree house, restaurant, whatever. And and so she ran upstairs, and she said, Dad, look, Roby prayed for my foot, and I'm healed. And you come on downstairs, and he can pray for your back. And Don says, so she came back downstairs. She told us, she said, I told my dad to come down, and you could pray for his back, and God would heal his back too. But he said, if you want to pray for him, you got to go up there. Well, within a minute, Don was standing there. He'd get up and get dressed and come downstairs. And he sat down on the chair, and we prayed for him. But first thing I did, I said, Lord, I said, Don, just stretch out your arms. And Don stretched out his arms, and they came together like this. So I prayed for him, and I said, Don, stretch out your arms. And he stretched out his arms, and they came together like this. And then I prayed for him again, and I said, Don, stretch out your arms. And Don stretched out his arms, and they came together perfectly. And he jumped up off the chair, ripped his shirt off, grabbed a back brace that I did not know he had on, and he ripped it off, and he threw it across the room. We were in the vault room, and it bounced off the wall. And Don started to jump and dance and say how he was healed and so on. And then the next day he came to where I worked, and he opened the door and he says, this man has the gift of healing. He was a very dramatic person, Don. Well, she's alive as far as I know. I'd love to meet him someday, but I haven't seen him for years. But anyway, I've enjoyed being able to do miracles like that as well, which I believe comes along with my prophetic gifting. For an example, a man phoned me up and he said, my wife is in the hospital dying. They gave her 4 chances out of 10 at survival. And she's on her deathbed right now, and she's dying. All of her organs are shutting down and so on. And I said, wait. This is not unto death, but this is unto the glory of God. Your wife will not die, but she will recover and be well. And this was in June or July. He phoned me, and I said, in September, my wife and I are going to come up to visit you. He lived in the north. And we're going to sit in your kitchen, and your wife is going to prepare and serve us a roast beef dinner. That will be in September. She will be fine. And he said, if that be, then you can have moose or bear. And I said, no, roast beef is just fine. 30th day of September of that year, we were sitting in his kitchen, eating a roast beef dinner that his wife had prepared and served, and she's been well this day. I love to give words. A woman called me up and she said, my first grandson has been born. And his mother had no idea that she was even pregnant, and she's had no prenatal care or anything. And I am so concerned that there might be something wrong with this tiny little baby that was born. And I said, no, he is just fine. Matter of fact, he will surpass all your expectations and all their expectations. And she said, are you sure? And I said, I'm positive. And she said, well, I knew that if I asked you, you would tell me the truth. And now I've heard that that baby was 15 months old, and he was in daycare, and he couldn't play with the 15 months old because he was too mature for them. So they did an evaluation, and at 15 months old, he was evaluated by daycare as being a 24-month-old. So he is still progressing beyond expectations. And there's other ones that I could tell you about, a number of them, but this video is coming to an end. So the Lord bless you. Bless you, my friends. I have other videos I'm going to be making, and they're coming one after the other. And I'm going to sum up with my final prophecy. Okay, my friends, my final prophecy for these tapes anyway. And that will be the prophecy of the end of days. Okay? Bless you, love you. Look up, for your redemption draws near, my friends. Bless you. God bless you. Love you. Mwah.